This is the Syracuse Landmark Preservation Board of September 12th. Currently here at the meeting, we'll start with Bob. State your name.
Robert Searing. I'm still new.
Howard Trish.
Kyle Gregory.
Nicole Fragnito.
Julia Marshall.
Jeff Romano.
Martha Hertzberg, Assistant Corporation Counsel.
Kate Alliter, staff to the board.
Thank you. May I have a motion to accept the minutes of August 22nd, 2024?
So moved.
So you're the second. Any modifications to the minutes?
Who's second?
Oh,
Who seconded?
are you
I'm making a move to accept.
I'll
Okay.
second the
Oh,
motion.
thanks, Kyle.
Any modifications to the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes is submitted.
Aye.
Aye.
No opposition, minutes are adopted. The board will now conduct the public hearing on today's agenda. First, the applicant or the applicant's representative will be invited to describe the proposed scope of work and to present any material or documentation regarding the proposal to the board. Next, persons wishing to speak in favor of the proposal will be given the opportunity to address the board. Then persons who wish to speak in opposition will be allowed to address the board. Finally, the applicant or a representative will be given the opportunity to make closing comments to the board. Following each public hearing, the board may vote to approve with conditions, or deny the application just heard. The board may also decide to hold its decision until the next public hearing. If the hearing is closed, no additional information will be allowed into the record except for information that the board may request. That information will be available for the public review with board staff. Staff will now, Kate, introduce the first application.
Sure. Good morning. This is application CA 2420. It is a certificate of appropriateness for 114 Circle Road. It is for a change in exterior paint colors. The property is located in the Berkeley Park Preservation District. So.
Hi.
Hi there.
We're.
Please introduce yourself.
I'm sorry. Michael Good. I'm one of the two owners of 114 Circle Road. My wife and I own the house.
Welcome.
Thanks. Yeah, we're proposing to change the paint colors of the house, which are currently white with white trim and dark green shutters, to going to this top Kennebunkport green color and a cream color trim with, I don't have a black paint chip, but basically a flat black color that's, I think, tricorn black out of, these two colors are both out of the Benjamin Moore Heritage Paint Collection and the Sherwin-Williams Heritage Collection for the black.
Actually, just see the paint chip. Sometimes the reproduction isn't that great. Appreciate it. Thank you. The green.
Okay.
The green mount silk doesn't come out that well in that reproduction. I just wanted to see that.
I'm colorblind, so it's irrelevant to me.
You should decide. Clarification.
Clarification. Sorry. Brick remains unpainted on those?
The brick remains unpainted, yes.
Okay. And the columns are going to become the trim color or the body
The
color?
columns will be the trim color.
Trim color along with the railing set?
By columns, you mean the portrait
Next to
of
the brick piers?
yeah, those will be the trim color.
Trim, and then the railings will be trim as well?
Yes.
It should be the house color.
The green will be the house color.
He's
Yeah.
asking about the gutters.
Oh, the gutters. We're actually we're having the gutters painted the house color in places where they come straight down the house. There might be one that actually comes over the trim, in which we would paint the trim color.
Or it blends in. Okay.
yeah, that's essentially just to kind of try to camouflage the gutters as much as possible.
Fantastic.
Any other questions?
I have a question. I see the foundation is painted white in one of the photos and then unpainted in the other. Will you be doing anything with that?
We'll be doing the trim color paint on the foundation level, or that's the plan anyway.
Are you complete with your presentation? Because I'm going to ask anyone who's like to speak in favor to come up.
I'm complete with it unless you all have questions for me. Yeah.
Okay. Those who wish to speak in favor may come up and address the board. Anyone here to speak in opposition? If not, we can close the meeting.
Close the public comment.
Public comment, and the board can deliberate. Comments from the board?
Colors look great. Picking out a historic collection, no issues. Looks great.
I agree.
Okay. May I have a motion on this application? All motion to approve application? Second. Any discussion, modifications to the motion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? Resolution passes. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks very much.
Less than 5 minutes. I think that's a record. Thank you. Okay, next. Kate, do you want to?
Yeah, why don't I will take it from, I'll take it from here. No,
Okay.
so
Thank
old
you.
business, the minor site plan review, there, as you all know, Kyle, unfortunately, you weren't able to attend, but there were 2 site visits that took place at the Niagara Mohawk building, and we met, meeting with the architect, or actually 2, architect and one of the building facilities managers at the main facility there, and good conversation. And the long and short of it is that they're still working to come up with the technical assistance that the board suggested that they locate in terms of those, in terms of the doors, and basically Lynn Kozak from is it Nelson? Nelson, yeah, said that she was not prepared yet to come back to the board, so would come back at hopefully the next meeting with some revised plans and information. And not to speak for you, and perhaps you can give your own summaries of the site visit, but my strong sense from at least the group that I went with was that the preference is to protect the integrity of the design of the building, and thus look for ways to replicate those doors that are too damaged to repair should be replicated, and the ones that can be repaired, the trim that can be repaired and replaced should be reinstalled. So that was my impression, but I leave it to you. It's an amazing building, really amazing building.
It's an amazing interior, amazing exterior. We did indicate to the facilities individual we met with that they should protect the damaged doors and hopefully find one of the pieces of hardware that was seemed to be missing, and retain those pieces for the history of the building, even though they're damaged, but also for the replication, so that they have the materials. And Lynn from Nelson Associates reached out to me because I had some contacts in terms of companies, a company in particular that I've used to repair the finish of the stainless steel in areas that are still intact and installed. And we did talk about the configuration of the doors and not thinking that the configuration should be altered. That's about it.
Yeah.
Unless anyone has questions who had not attended.
I just have one question as far as ADA go. Wasn't the conversation about widening the doors from that standpoint, is that still an issue, or?
Where there were discussions about exiting and that they wanted to use that entrance as an exit. I commented that, first of all, that there would need to be a code study because there was an implication that they wanted more exiting for the meeting room. And the meeting room has 2 exits. That it, in my estimation, did not require the exit, these doors to be rearranged to create a legal exit. On the other hand, I don't know what the configuration on the other side of the building is, so that's why I suggested if you are going to suggest changing the configuration, we would have to see a code review that supported that. And as far as accessibility, the doors right now have a door operator, and that, meets the requirement, even though the leaf of each door on its own is not a compliant with 2 doors open, and it makes it compliant. And I don't think that we had an issue with if they moved the door operator to a different leaf, but changing the configuration of the doors would be an issue.
Configuration is in width.
In width, and
They were
also
gonna make 136.
the number of
They wanted to go
leaves
from 6
they
to
wanted
4.
to change and widen, and it was based on exiting. So. But they will have to bring that to the board from their analysis if they change. So that was our take on it.
Did they say anything further about the swapping out that beautiful old neon on the building for the LEDs, which I find to be
That
highly
was
problematic?
pointed out. I don't think we had great discussion about that, because I think, well, Lynn didn't bring it up as,
I think it's something to follow up on.
Yeah.
I think
But
that's what I
were-
was going to say. I think
we
we'll
got
follow
kind of
up, yeah.
hyper-focused on
Briefly
on
talking
the
on the
doors.
doors.
Yeah.
Makes
I
sense.
think she was going to reach out.
Yes.
I think she was open to addressing our comments. I'm trying to be careful. I think historic preservation experience might be helped from the board and from others in terms of restoring what she's tasked to do.
I just wanted to add that, we talk about integrity of workmanship, craftsmanship, the craftsmanship in the building, and what workmanship, craftsmanship that went into the design of the property is unbelievable. Every single detail seemed to have been, looked
Every
to,
square inch is
addressed.
designed.
Every square inch of that building is designed.
Drawing.
And that's the question, is where are the drawings?
There are some drawings, because I reached out to a firm that I know did work on the parapet who presented here years ago. And I believe Lynn has the copy of Klepperhan and Hyatt's drawings. I don't know about the original drawings, but my sense was that Klepperhan and Hyatt might have a copy. They could not release it to me unless I had a release from Niagara Mohawk, and I basically, said that the architectural firm that's working on it now can reach out to them and get that information. But Lynn seemed to allude to the fact that she had the Klepperhan and Hyatt drawings.
Drawings, okay.
Or at least the facilities individual had that.
So I'll follow up with her and see how it's going, what other, if there's any other
She just
assistance.
reached out 2 days ago for the recommendation on the
Yeah.
vendor that I've used to restore bronze doors.
Okay. All right, so more on that to come. And so we'll move, move directly on to new business. As I sent everyone the revised agenda last night or yesterday afternoon. So the next application was a project plan review, but it won't be heard this morning. So a careful reading of rezone, or the zoning ordinance, indicates that the SLPB may review applications only if the subject property involves a property that is listed in our historic properties list. Although immediately adjacent to historic properties, as I detailed in the staff report, the proposed project is actually not located on any of those parcels that are on the historic properties list. And so therefore the SLPB may not provide comment. However, the SLPB will have the opportunity to evaluate the impacts of the proposed dormitory project as part of the seeker or environmental review process that has been initiated. Was it initiated at the Planning Commission meeting on Monday?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, it was not.
It was not, okay.
Because we are waiting for the mitigation proposal.
Okay. So that it will be coming, and there will be an opportunity to provide comment, but it won't be through the provisions of the zoning ordinance. Yeah.
I have a question. I don't know if it's pertinent, but so at this time, 727 Comstock is completely off the table. They're not touching any
That
property
is-
line on it. They're not asking for easements no longer on that property for the dormitory construction project?
My understanding is that they are not, that they have removed those impacts from the,
Didn't they remove the demolition application?
yes, and that will be the topic. So they have removed that application. Actually, Jeff, in answer to your question, I'm not sure about easements. But
studies-
it appears that,
Okay, well, I don't mean
yeah.
to cut you off. The study session that I went to, they had proposed to do easements both north and south of the structure, 727,
okay,
and to remove 40 or 50 feet of the back of the property.
I don't believe that is, looking at,
In the staff report, they have the site plan showing that block. They had proposed to put easements to make the dormitory project happen. They said they needed them for access to water, for fire services, I believe.
okay,
And so
we'll have to ask that
it seems to be
question.
wholly excluded. I just wanted
Yeah.
to confirm.
And we'll have to confirm that. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a good question.
I asked that question. You said there were no impacts anymore on 727. I asked specifically about the infrastructure.
Here, you have to go up to the mic. And introduce yourself.
Barry Lentz, 1011 Westcott Street. I'm also a member of the Planning Commission. I asked that specific question Monday night because I was aware of the infrastructure issue that had come up at the Common Council study session, and they said there were no impacts whatsoever on 727 anymore, completely separated from that property.
Okay.
Did they make any comment in terms of what now is proposed or not for 727?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Did they make any inference in terms of what will happen with 727? They own 727.
No. The only thing about that, the Common Council study session this Wednesday, it was still on the agenda, and I asked Councilor Hogan about that, and he told me he was under the impression that something had to happen with the Preservation Board in order to get it off of their agenda. So there seems to be some procedural
Which we'll be
confusion
discussing next.
about that
The
process.
second half of this conversation.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. Go ahead.
So we will move then on to other business, which is another addition to the agenda. And I apologize for reading from my notes, but I want to make sure that
Please do.
I'm getting all the salient points. So, as you may or may not know, late last month, so August 27th, Syracuse University withdrew its request to demolish 727 Comstock Avenue. You will hopefully recall that the board reviewed SU's application to demolish a non-landmarked historic resource at its May 30th meeting. And at that time, the board determined that the property had sufficient integrity and historic significance to enter into the local protected site application review process. The board held a public hearing on June 20th of this year and determined that the property met 3 out of the 5 criteria for designation. It forwarded this recommendation on to CPC. The CPC also held a public hearing and sent its recommendation for designation to Common Council, which is where it is located at this point. So the resolution regarding the designation, in the resolution regarding the designation, the SLPB identified the demolition request as the initial impetus behind the designation. And so Corporation Counsel's office has informed me that because the applicant has withdrawn the demolition request, the premise for the protected site application has been removed, and Common Council is therefore unable to act on the designation application. So the Corporation Counsel's office has spelled out 2 alternatives for the board that should be under consideration today. One is to revise the resolution, the designation resolution, to remove the reference to the demolition application and forward again the protected site application back to the CPC, Planning Commission. The other alternative is to withdraw the application and focus on the potential designation of the Preservation District along Comstock Avenue, as requested by Common Councilors Jimmy Monto and Corey Williams. That is that they had asked the board to consider the district designation. I will note that it is the administration's preference that the SLPB withdraw the application and focus on the potential district designation. So this is up for discussion. There are obviously those 2 routes, and you'll need to vote on what you decide. Yep.
Discussion from the board?
So we've done the research. We found that it's individually eligible to be designated. But since they've withdrawn their application, it's kind of null and void, and we have to revise.
The resolution needs to be revised.
Right.
Revised.
Or withdrawn.
The resolution, there are 2 options. So one is to revise the to vote to revise the resolution for the designation, removing the language regarding the demolition, and then forward that back to the CPC. And the second one is to withdraw
Wholly.
withdraw wholly, and then either, actually, there are two things. You could either initiate the designation, the individual designation again, or the other option is, well, I guess you could do nothing at that point, or you could also focus attention on the district nomination.
I've had time to think about it, so I do have a strong opinion that we should, in my opinion, withdraw, because the district the application for designating the district would become stronger with the inclusion of 727 as part of a district. So that would be my opinion.
It would still be part of
So
the
that the 700 block would become protected if we can apply and is, passed, that it become part of a locally designated district. It's on the 700 block.
Just for my education, does the one preclude the other? I'm not clear on that. Okay.
No.
No, the one does not
I
preclude
didn't
the
think
other.
so.
Does one benefit the rest of it?
I think that's what I'm trying to say. I think that the application for the district, in my opinion, might be stronger if 727 is part of it. And not as an individual, but as part of the district. Or maybe that's
It would
incorrect.
be part of the district,
it would be
whatever.
part
It
of
would
the
be part of
district,
the
right.
district. And I would say that oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yep.
Moving forward with the individual designation, I feel would strengthen the blocks designation. Right, so revising what was written to remove the language for the demolition to spur this review, I think further strengthens the blocks designation as a registered district for that block that is pushed forward by this individual designation of 727. That's
I guess the better question to ask is,
that's how I see it. And we're talking about 9 structures, sorry.
right,
We
but
have 9 structures on the block. 6 of them are designatable or
eligible.
eligible.
I
Thank
think
you.
actually it's 6 or 7, yeah. Yeah, I
Right, so
forgot the number.
The furthest north structure, just going off of,
I guess I want to ask the question, obviously there was an opinion from council. Do you have the reasoning in the council's opinion of why there's a preference to withdraw it and put it in?
It's actually the administration's.
Right.
Administration's. My my understanding is that the city is, or the administration is interested in having the board respond to the councilor's request. There's also concern about needing to avoid the appearance of singling out this particular property for designation when it may be part of this larger district. And I think that there was, and giving, it has been a, I'll say, how do I say this? It's been a contentious process, and I think that there was some interest in providing a bit of a cooling off period, a little bit of a gap, and that's my understanding was what the administration's interest in having the board withdraw the application.
So if there are renovation plans or something, like say we dropped the designation and there are renovation plans or something proposed in the meantime, does it come back before the board because it's eligible, or?
That's the hiccup, is if
I
something
think
happens in
that-
between.
What has to happen, so as soon as a application for designation, say for the district designation is submitted to the board, there's basically a halt or standstill in terms of what can be issued from the codes department, for example, or the permit desk. Basically, all action has to cease until the district would be, or yeah, but only once the application has been submitted. So there will be some time between that period and
I think that's probably the issue of this board is what that time frame is between submitting an application for the historic district, because that is kind of the downtime that things could happen. Do you have a sense of what that time frame is?
It's going to be a couple months, because just at the level of documentation that we need to pull together. I would think maybe it could be less, but I think probably we'd be looking at November or early December. Is that a couple months? It's October.
A month or two.
Yeah.
Just, Nicole, is there being representing PACNY and that component, what are you hearing from that contingency as to this process and this structure?
There's definitely support for the individual building, and we just had a board meeting last night, and there was support for the district for making the entire block a preservation district.
Sorry, the 700 block, are you saying, when you
Yes,
say,
the
when you guys
700
talk
block.
about the block?
Yes.
Well, my point,
Yeah.
my question, there's been a huge outpouring to move forward with this protection. And I'm just trying to get a sense of where that community is, where we are, and then, moving forward, I want to make a sound decision. I have a preference, but I want to hear what's going on community-wide. So we've started this process, and I feel I don't want to just shelve it, all the work that's been completed.
Agreed. I'm just trying to figure out which is the best avenue.
Right, yeah,
I
right.
think, if I may speak for the board, we all want it protected.
Correct.
I guess it's...
Are we saying the house that we want protected?
727.
Okay, so if
In addition to that, I think we all want the block to become part of
Own district.
its own district, and how we get there is really the question. And I guess the concern that I'm hearing is the time frame between pulling the application and putting in a new application, and possibly something could happen in between. And
And it's
that's-
already been almost 4 months for this one single property. So now we're gonna create a.
No, I'm not concerned about that as much as I'm concerned about,
I just think the time frame that
an
Kate has
application can
provided
go
us.
in tomorrow if they want for a permit for something. if
Oh,
that's where
I
I'm going.
wholly agree, but I think I respect Kate's suggestion, but I think we're probably looking at beginning of the year for turnaround. Just my honest opinion, so, and that makes that window even greater.
Right.
Go ahead.
I'm just trying to clarify this. So we're saying that the 700 block, which 727 obviously is in, but what about the other structures that aren't really historic? I mean, there's some new structures that were that built on there. Now, that becomes part of that, and they'll have to come in front of the board, and if they want to do any changes to that for our approval.
Non-contributing, I assume.
They're
So they're on the block. Let me see, I'll just take a look at my map here. 1, 2, 3,
One right next to it.
3
5, 6,
non-contributing
7, 8.
structures
There
that
are
would be
8.
in the district.
Sorry, there are 8. The 8.
So they'd be excluded.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 properties that we're looking at. I believe one is clearly the one that is immediately to the north of 727 is non-contributing due to age. The other ones, these slashes that you see in the on my image here, those are in regard to individual National Register eligibility, and I think that one that does not, to the south, have that slash would actually contribute to a district. So I think that we're looking at 8 properties, one of which would not be considered contributing, so that property would not need to come before the LPB for.
And about the dorm on the corner?
That's excluded.
No,
from all this.
that would be considered non-contributing, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
excluded
Or
from the,
excluded, probably
But once
wholly
excluded.
this-
excluded.
Yeah, but once this is designated in time, it would fall in, or no? There would never be?
That
Okay.
wouldn't be, no.
It would be a new district if there was one created.
I haven't spoken again to the,
Well, really, I mean, the houses are already designated, so I get it. I'm just trying to clarify why 700 would even matter to the whole thing, but I understand that regardless, is it designated or not, the same properties will fall under review at some point if they wanted to make changes to them, right?
if it became a district, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But even if it's not, they're still designated.
right?
Right.
Well, they're eligible, but, I'm sorry, they're eligible for,
I'm just trying to make the argument that it doesn't matter either way. So if you do designate the block, it,
well, the key here, so we're mixing the National Register
Right.
eligibility with the local designation.
preservation,
So if the board did nothing, if the board did not pursue a district, short of demolition, which is what brought us here to begin with, the board, I don't believe the board would have any review capacity on any of those buildings, short of demolition.
okay.
Just to clarify, wouldn't have any review capacity if it were not a district?
If it was not a district, that's correct. Yep.
Any other discussion?
Yeah. I'm sorry?
Well, Jeff's suggesting that we do a check in terms of individual opinion, in terms of how to move forward before we vote. I don't know if that really matters.
My gut reaction is to sort of agree with Jeff. I feel like this process has been started. There's been a tremendous amount of community input. There seems to be a lot of support, certainly online here. I mean, the presentation that Jeff gave a couple weeks back at their SU's addendum meeting, I mean, there's been a lot. So I don't see the benefit of removing the structure. It feels, I agree with Jeff. I think that structure being designated makes it better case for the whole block. And I don't know if it doesn't gum up the works for the application process, then I think it would be short-sighted to remove it, considering all that's been done and, like I said, the support for that individual building. I don't know, but again, I don't know much about this stuff. So I'm talking about 727. I mean,
So on the
That's not
table
going
right now, it's either we revise the original designation to remove the language of the demolition component, resolution, Or we
Or
withdraw it
withdraw.
wholly, and then we step back and we do the research to create the block designation. So that's what we're looking at this morning in front of us. So that's the feelings check of which way we got to go, and we need to vote today to move forward in which direction we want to go.
Because it's one or the other.
Correct.
Because council cannot move on the application as it is presently.
Oh, right, correct. Okay. Thank you.
So we are talking about this today, and then it goes back to the planning commission also, or?
No,
Go
it
to
goes to
council.
the common
Oh.
council. Common council
It
can't
will
do
have-
anything at this point.
Go.
If you, thank you. If you choose to withdraw your application, then you'll transmit that to council and they will take it off their agenda. If you choose to pursue the application with a revised resolution, then you would send it back to the planning commission, who then would send a recommendation to council. That's it procedurally.
Thank you.
If we're not going to do a call, I would ask for a motion, one way or the other.
I'll make a motion to revise the original resolution to, revise the original resolution for 727 to remove the language of the demolition component to forward it back to Syracuse Planning Commission to move forward with the designation, individual designation for 727.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Oh, wait, no.
No?
Discussion.
Any discussion?
I agree with that, just because the community support has really revved up behind 727, and it will be a good entry point for getting the community support for the district itself, especially as education about the process goes for the community. I think it's a good entry point for them.
I think we owe it to the community to keep moving forward on this and use that momentum to show that we are actually doing something here in Syracuse for our historic structures and historic buildings.
Any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstention.
Yeah. I think I'm
Opposition?
abstaining. I just don't have enough information about everything that's going on.
So, you oppose? Any abstention?
Me?
One
I
abstaining?
abstain.
So,
For your abstaining, Howard?
I just don't have enough information. I just feel like
That's not really a basis for abstention, so you really have to vote yea or nay, and normally you'd vote nay if you feel like you're not well enough informed. But abstention is when you have a conflict, which Kyle has already brought to our attention. I'm sorry about that.
I'll go.
so it's a yes or a?
Yes, yes.
Yes, okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't vote. So, motion passed.
Motion.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good job.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, everyone. All right, so moving right along, and I'm sorry that I couldn't get the technology to work this morning because I wanted to show you some nice photographs. So I wanted to talk about the National Register nomination, the National Register, not our local district, of the Westcott University Neighborhood Historic District. And I included a map in your packets that shows the district boundaries. If it is, so it's in the works. This is a project that began with the Preservation Association of Central New York. or PACNY. PACNY received a grant from the Preservation League and had Sam Gruber and Bruce Harvey started, who are both local historians and preservation consultants, started this process. Actually, it was initially supposed to be a survey, and then it sort of blossomed into what became this large National Register district. It's taken a number of years to get here, though. This was initiated pre-pandemic, and a lot of things happened along the way. So I have teamed up with PACNY to help get this over the finish line. If approved, it will be the largest district in the city, possibly in the state. However, we are about to be overtaken by Buffalo. I believe there's a larger district in Buffalo. But there are just shy of 2,000 parcels that are involved in this, and something like 2,600 historic resources. The purpose of this district, and again reminding everyone that this is a National Register district and not a preservation district, because could you imagine? It really is about the recognition of the history. This is a neighborhood that developed over about a 40 or so year period, 1870s to the early 1920s. It was spurred by the incoming network of streetcars along East Genesee Street that eventually went up Westcott and then Euclid and created this sort of loop round. Unlike some of the other National Register districts in the city, this actually is recognizing a neighborhood that was developed specifically for working class and middle class people. It was marketed, the developers marketed it towards more middle class folks. And there were about, I would say about 15 different parcels, tracts, 15 different developers that had individual tracts that eventually sort of melded into this pretty cohesive district. It has, given, you can actually see from the map, and again, I'm sorry, I don't have it on the screen, but the denseness of this neighborhood, it is a very cohesive neighborhood and is really sort of a textbook, if you will, of American residential architectural design. It does have, a lot of it is sort of falls into the vernacular American design, but there are some also a fair number of architect design buildings, as well as a commercial district. There are 2 schools, a couple churches, a fire station, and also a cemetery, Lodi Cemetery, which is very early, and then Westminster Park as well. So and I do have some photographs that I was going to show you all, but I'll just hand them around. There'll be more on this coming. Right now, and so the benefits of this obviously is the recognition of this history, and also really to provide if it is passed, then the residents, property owners will be able to have access to the historic tax credits, both homeowners as well as the income-producing properties. So we're hoping that they'll be able to use those tax credits to help maintain their houses. The big push right now is obviously outreach. This does not go before the State Review Board until early December. So, and there will be a public meeting on this in late October, letters are going to be sent out to every property owner within the district explaining what it means and what the benefits are of the district. And then there's going to be one large sort of online public meeting where we tentatively set for October the 30th. But in between then and now and that December board meeting, there are going to be a lot of other opportunities for outreach to the neighborhood to make sure everyone is clear on what this nomination means and what the benefits are to the neighborhood. So that is another project I've been working on this summer, and Nicole has been working with me as well. As well as
Do they know what
some
their
other folks.
responsibilities will be?
The actually, but National Register nomination is pretty much all carrot. There's because this is all, well, the vast majority of properties here are residential. Excluding demolition, there would be very limited, if any, review from the Preservation Board.
There'd be more benefits.
There'd
to
be
the
more benefits. So
homeowner.
the benefits, of course, do come with a review, not by us,
Right.
or not by the Landmark Preservation Board, but by the State Preservation Office, if they chose to opt in to for the tax credits. For not-for-profit, by the way, not-for-profit owners of property, there are also there'll be access to different types of preservation grants as well. So National Register nominations are open up opportunities for funding with fairly few strings attached in terms of other review. So that is coming down the pipe, hopefully.
You need to bring back something up about the designation vote.
I am done with that, so I'm going to have.
I made an error. You may abstain when you do not have enough information. So I'd like you to call the question again and then allow members who wish to abstain to do so and not abstain under false pretenses.
I think I might have mixed a couple of things. So when,
Yeah, I think you'll need to reopen the matter, Julia.
So I have to make a motion to reopen.
Yes, I'm not sure, but I would.
Okay, I'll make a motion to reopen the discussion regarding 727's status.
We need to vote on that.
And we need to vote. So do we want discussion before or actually?
Just
okay.
reopen the vote.
I'll reopen the
All right, real
vote.
quick.
Reopen the discussion.
It's more of a clarity, because I was thinking the preservation of the whole block, and I was kind of tying in, but you were just focusing on 727,
Correct.
right? And so I do have enough for everyone. I was thinking,
Should we call for a
combining the
vote?
two, and then I just realized it as we were talking through the district. So I'm good, so we can stay, but
Okay.
I understand
I
we need
just
to open
wanted
it.
to give you the
I appreciate it.
opportunity because
No.
I misspoke and I don't want to mislead a board member on the legality of an abstention, which
I
is in
appreciate
fact,
that.
just for future reference, if you don't have enough information on an item, you can abstain.
Okay.
Is that something new?
No.
Or is that, it's always been that way? Because,
It's a hyper-technical aspect of Robert's rules, and there's a lot of other hyper-technical aspects, but I want to give the board every opportunity to have
Okay.
each person vote the way they wish.
I
understood.
looked at it as the same as if you weren't at a meeting and you didn't have the information to approve the minutes. I looked at it as the same thing. So that's why I
Is
thought
the
it was
same?
sustained from a standpoint.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm mixing, but that's
We
why-
can do a
I'm
training
just-
on
that's what I
that,
was
but
thinking.
suffice to say, you've had more discussion, you've determined on the record that you do not wish to abstain. Otherwise, please, you'll need to vote again if Howard wanted to go ahead and do that.
Good discussion. Thank you.
And You're,
I'm staying in.
okay,
No, I'm good.
okay. All right. No.
You don't need to
Okay.
re-vote.
And then just to let you know, so this is the final piece, regarding the work that we have initiated. And by the way, would like to formally introduce Amber Dillon, who's here. She is now my part-time sidekick for preservation-related matters. Amber works in the zoning department, is interested in historic preservation, and
maybe the
and
district
zoning
can
has
happen faster.
zoning has graciously donated a portion of her time to assist. And so last week we were at OHA and have started the work on the nomination, and we'll be full speed ahead with pulling that information together for the board's consideration.
Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome to the team.
Are we?
This is a huge undertaking, so congrats to everybody involved on this. This is
It's-
astounding.
It's a big deal. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Wonderful news. Huge.
Okay,
That's it.
that's it. Have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Or opposition or abstention? No, passes. We're done.
We're done. Thank you very much.
Good work.
I
Good
got
work.
your pen.